Johnson. Hey, this is Cody Johnson, and you're watching Strike TV.
Can I say something about y'all in it?
Sure.
Hey y'all, this is Cody Johnson. You're watching Strike TV, right here with my buddy Tommy and Angela.
He's got a heart of gold.
Guitar whenever I was young, and I always had a little bitty guitar my dad had bought me, and I kind of more or less sat on it in colored paper. I didn't really do much with it, and I finally figured out after rodeoing for several years that the music that I was writing was there was a place for it, and I got tired of listening to the radio and felt like I was missing out. I felt like that I could have been doing better. Those songs that I was writing, I felt like that maybe they could have been on the radio, and so I started getting guys together and getting a band together, and we went and recorded our first album, and it was a three-piece. It was me and my dad and my drummer Nathan, and it was in an upstairs garage, upstairs of a garage at someone's house, and we sold a couple hundred copies and thought we were rock stars, and started playing all the beer joints and honky tonks. And you know, my mother's a church-going lady, and she put up with me for a while being out there doing all that. But it started to pay off, and I started to see that there was a business side to this, and started really realizing that it's going to have to take a lot more than just getting up on a stage and having it given to you. It's nothing good ever came to somebody that didn't work hard, and that was my biggest problem. Is I needed to start working harder. So I started pushing my stuff with this next album that we recorded in Austin, and it was Six Strings, One Dream. And our first single, Another Try, went into the top 30 on the Texas music charts, and we thought, well, that's we done made the big time. You know, every step is a stepping stone for us, and we released Nobody to Blame, which is a song about being on the road and what it's like to travel up and down the highway, and the good times and the bad times. There's those late nights where you feel like you don't have any friends, and then there's those nights where everybody's there to see you and it's a party. And when we released Pray for Rain, and it went to #1 thanks to some of our friends over in Livingston. We had a lot of big radio stations behind us pushing us. We had a lot of good people out there helping us push that song. And something we were in I think it was it was in Stephenville, Texas. The day I found out that song went #1 on the Texas music charts, I was doing an interview with them. I pulled up and they said, "We've got the #1 song in Texas music right now, Cody Johnson, Pray for Rain." And I said, "You kidding me?" And I thought they were joking, and they were telling the truth. And they said, "Man, you don't really realize what the lyrics of that song did for these West Texas farmers out here." He said, "We were in a drought, and we were going without water, and we were going without crops and things like that." And he said it really struck the hearts of these people, and so that's what got it. And that meant a lot to me. As a songwriter, your songs they're like your babies. You want them to see them do good. You want to see them be successful and people to love them. And so it meant a lot to me. And with this last song, Texas Kind of Way, we've got it out on the radio right now. Just broke the top 30. And somebody told me, said, "Well, it's just another Texas song. We've heard all about the Lone Stars and the Blue Bonnets and all this." And I really feel like the song has more to say, and so we've been really pushing it, and more people listen to it. It's been really catching on like wildfire. And these guys that we've got out here that you're going to see at this show they're a really great group of guys. They work hard. They could probably always work harder. Don't tell them they're going to see this, are they? But I don't know where you want me to go from here.
Let's talk about the making it here to the rodeo. As a kid, your dream of being here at the rodeo.
Man, I used to.
Livestock show rodeo.
I've got a picture of me at the whenever they at the livestock show. Whenever they have the petting zoos, when you can go in and see all the pets and stuff that are laying around. And my poppy, who had passed on, had set me on a bull, and there was I called it a bull. It was a little Brahman steer, and I was sitting on top of him. And I always told my mom, I said, "That's where I got my disease of riding bulls, right there." It's from that first one he put me on at the Houston Livestock Show. And we got booked for the Hideout when I was 19. Maybe I was 19 or 20, and they found out that I was under 21, and they said, "No, well, you're good enough, but you're not old enough." And I was like, "Well," so we had to wait. And here I am, 24, and we finally got here, and they've treated us like rock stars. I mean, it's really cool. One thing you'll find, and I hate to see somebody who gets a little bit of special treatment or something, and they let it go to their head, and they kind of feel like they should have things given to them, and I'm a real humble country boy, and I like the big stage, and so. My deal is we worked really, really, really hard to get to the Hideout, but that's not good enough for me. I'm going to keep working until we're up there where it'll be Cody Johnson, and afterwards, after the big show in the arena, there'll be somebody else at the Hideout, and that's my ambition and my goal. So
Okay. Now let's talk about what now. In order to get you where you're at, there had to be somebody in the family that told Cody Johnson he was a singer.
My whole family is a singer. Both sides of my family, my mom's and dad's generations, both sides of them, that's all they did was sing. And we would stand around. My dad used to play the piano. He could play like Floyd Kramer. I mean, I grew up listening to Ray Price and those kind of people. It was vocalists. There wasn't a lot of special effects back then, and so I had to sing. It was. No, you're going to sing. If you're standing around the piano, you're going to sing. And so we went to church, and I sang in different choirs, and I played in the band, played guitar and bass and drums in the church band, and really learned how to develop my skills. But my dad was the one. He'd always used to sing me them old country songs, and I'm not blaming him for the way I am, but I kind of am blaming him for the way I am. But my whole family was a very big inspiration. And I tell you what, if you think you can sing, go sing with them. And that's what I always tell them. I got my parents up on stage at Do-Si-Do in the Woodlands not too long ago, and we sang the old gospel song, The Lighthouse. A cappella, just 3-part harmony. And we got a standing ovation, the only standing ovation all night. I said, see, that's all I needed was you two up there. I told you y'all was better than me.
Okay, now being on the road, now you're married, you got your little sweet honey at home.
Yep.
Now, here's the deal. What makes you do what you do for her, and is there a special song for her?
Yes, I actually I wrote one for our wedding. It was called "I'm a Better Man Loving You." And when I met, I did a lot of living growing up. I did a lot of living really early. I'll put it that way. Between the ages of about 17 and 21, there was a lot of running and gunning and a lot of learning and a lot of bad mistakes, and you learn from them. And I had a lot of people around me that kind of coached me and said, you're going to wind up burn up if you keep going out and running crazy and acting like an idiot, And I met her, and my mama always told me, don't ever marry a woman you meet in a bar. And I met her at a bar, and I put down my beer, and I said, I'm not drinking anymore tonight. I want you to know I'm serious. I said, I'm going to wait on you at the front door for your phone number. And I waited on her, and I got it. And 2 weeks later, I got my first date. A year later to that date, we were engaged, and a year later, we were married. When I asked her to marry me, I said, will you marry me? She said, oh, yes. She's crying, and I said, no, will you marry my music? And she said, yes. I said, do you know what that means? And that's because I'd already made that decision. You can't do this half-heartedly. Because there are times you're going to go play and there will be 50 people, and then the next night you'll go play and there'll be 1,200. And it's all about how hard you're pushing it, how hard you're going down those roads to be out in Lubbock and Odessa and Oklahoma and Louisiana and everywhere else you can be away from home. And just this week, for instance, we're doing 4 straight days on the road. I'm going to go record my demos in Nashville for 3 straight days, and then I come back and do another 4 straight days on the road. I have 2 days off, and then we do 5. And so she's kind of gotten used to being at home alone, but I call her quite often. I call her quite regularly. In fact, I'm surprised she hadn't even showed up yet.
What's some of the advice you might want to pass on?
Well, I feel like I'm still one of the young cats so far, and it makes me feel good for you to say, where you are, because I still don't feel like that I'm not done. I feel like I've got a long road to hoe yet. But if I had to tell somebody to get to where we are, when you get to this point, no matter how you got there, realize that you still got a lot more to do, and you still got a lot more to prove, and you're not nobody. And just because somebody says you're somebody doesn't mean you're the real deal. You gotta keep it within yourself. When you start off, don't treat life like a party. It's great to party with friends and band members and your fans and family, but in all reality, it's almost like a business. You got to treat it just like a business. You go into it and you got to make smart moves. This is not a game of checkers. It's a game of chess, so to speak. And whenever you start making decisions like who's going to be in your band, who's going to be on your road crew, what shows you're going to play, what you're going to play for, you have to get a good group of people around you to help you make those right decisions, and don't be too proud to ever ask for help or to ever say, I really don't know, help guide me. And in all reality, if you've got the right radio promoter and the right management, and you've put in your time in those bars and you're trying to get further and you're trying to get out, always treat people how you want to be treated, and expect for all the bad things you do to come around and bite you in the butt, because I've seen it happen firsthand.